Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to Rick Dandy, Mushoku Tensei, a jobless reincarnation. Tonight we're on episode 21. Now, already, this is going to be a massive, borderline cataclysmic comments episode. So let me boom. This is episode 18, 19, no. 18 OVA, 19, 20, plus the world map kind of episode. So we're gonna what's the order we want to do? I think we're gonna start with the world map. Okay. We have to be a little organized with this because there's a lot of going on. I think so. One of the main themes of these comment sections is, I gotta say plural, because we're dealing with four from here, are to basically hey, you should look at the map. And so I finally caved and I was like, oh, I'll look at the map. So shout out, I think, Amar from the Discord for taking a map and then putting a little bit of extra pizzazz on it so that it makes more sense. And let's go ahead and start actually with the map. So I haven't really looked at this yet. But you can see there's a couple of we got Horse Dude, we got Kirishio Riko Rishorum, we got Homeboy here, right? So we have a little bit of an idea of the path we've taken. Yeah, one of the crazy things, and this is this was completely different from my mental image, which is why this is actually pretty helpful to finally look at. It's two things. A lot more linear than I expected, where from where we were teleported to, there's a pretty other than straight up going across this big ocean area, it's a straight line of how to get across. This, what is this, the Millis continent? The Millis continent is literally a bridge between the Demon continent and the Central continent. So that's crazy to me, unless you want to deal with the Heaven continent, but I'm assuming nobody deals with the Heaven continent because it literally looks like an iceberg. The crazy thing to me, the absolutely crazy thing to me, is that this obviously, I'm looking at this and I was where's the 6 sides? I thought we were on a cube. So I asked that, I was like, hey, what's up with this? Apparently this is one of the sides or something, and so that's wild to me, because I thought what it was, based just on what my mental was, is we had a cube and Demon continent was basically one side of the cube, and then Millis continent was another side of the cube, and then Central continent was another. I literally have a cube right here, right? So each face of the die I thought was one of the continents, and so I kind of assumed that the Central continent would have been the polar opposite. The Central continent would be the polar opposite to the Demon or something, right? Completely incorrect. The mental image could not have been more wrong. Which is fine. I'm glad we're looking at the map. So yeah. I haven't looked at the names yet. There's a lot of crazy things here now because I'm actually deep. Ooh, the Magic University is right here. Okay, so let me run us through the story. This, obviously, we got start. The white circle is the Mana Cataclysm. That's pretty crazy to me. It's a lot smaller than I thought it would be. I thought it was less of one big boomy boom boom and more selective boomy boom booms. I didn't really make the assumption necessarily. I don't think I consciously ever had the thought, but just kind of the idea of okay, this one orb was in this one town and then that got Mana Cataclysmed. Who's to say there aren't more orbs in more towns? I thought it was a bit more of a very more of a precision, there's a bunch of orbs scattered that took out a bunch of center locations, something like that. I was pretty open to. So for it to be oh no, we're talking one big boomy boom boom, that's what we got. And we kind of saw that with Paul. We got the little shot of Paul and let me get my names up, and Lilia and all of them getting hit by it. So we got to see the kind of big sweepingness of it. But yeah, so that was clarified. That's cool. So we're here. Everything's great. The Asura Kingdom or whatever. The capital. Nothing too crazy here. Holy Land of the Sword at the tip of this place is pretty interesting. Probably I'm guessing, I'm just going to make a random guess on this world building location because world building's fun. What, we got some spiritual master sword guru who this is their hermitage spot to practice their craft of the sword to get it to unparalleled heights. I mean, look at it. If you're literally on the pinpoint tip of a continent, you're practicing something crazy up there. The Magic Universities across the mountain range, that's kind of fun. Let me look up some of my notes real quick. Okay, so Fitoa is the Empire region, so we're seeing that there. Asura is the kingdom, so yeah, Asura Kingdom. Fitoa is the region in the kingdom, which Saros was the noble of. Citadel of Roa. I'm not seeing Citadel of Roa. Maybe I'm getting... we were in... Okay, no, probably because it's in that freaking orb and it got swallowed. Okay, yeah. Because we were in this orb and then we got swallowed. And Paul also got swallowed. So, like, pretty much this entire orb location is, like, everything we know and care about. Okay, no, we're clear. We're good. Okay, so yeah. Then we go all the way to the Demon Continent. Bad luck. This town of Kurasuma... I mean, this is definitely, like, used to be a bridge to the Heaven Continent. For Demon and Heaven to be next to each other is pretty wild, too. I mean, Heaven looks like it's donezo. Like, I don't know if anybody lives on, like, on here who even knows. But for there to be this town means there probably used to be a connection. Like this route has been used before. The question is, why wasn't it used going forward? I mean, we had homeboy freaking, what's his name? Ruijerd. Sorry, Ruijerd. And he was like, no, let's go this way, right? All the way to the wind port, all the way over, blah, blah, blah. So we teleport over somewhere in this area. Then we go down to the wind port, run into Roxy's place, just in here somewhere. Cool. Kisharika in this port. 2 big ports. Pretty much only way to get across this. Seems to make a lot of sense. There's this beast territory here that's a bit out of the way of the main road. Because, yeah, we got captured into the beast territory. So, beast territory's next to that big road. Maybe just don't get captured next time, forehead. Keep going down. Elf territory, feeling good. Ooh, elves, dwarves, hobbits. Oh, we get in fantasy. We getting Tolkien with it. Or just, like, typical high fantasy. You know, you need your elves, dwarves, and hobbits, I guess. Mountain range. Man, this capital of Milishion is actually OP. Literally getting founded in the crack between a mountain range. Like, you know you want to get from one half of Milis. Oh, you want to get from one half of Milis to the other half of the Milis continent? You're going through Milishion. That's correct. Like, in terms of just, like, location-wise, for, like, the amount of power that location would have is pretty crazy. Yeah, especially if it's, like, right in there. I didn't really get the impression that it was in this stop, but, like, this, like, it was, like, the wall in this mountain range that, like, forces people to go through. But I also wasn't looking at the environment super intentionally, so it could have that impression. But even if it isn't like literally a walled city in this mountain range, like, it's a capital, it'll have like a standing army if it needs to, and it can block that off. So, like, same diff kind of thing. But yeah, okay, so now, oh yeah, so that's where we met Paul. Oh, that's crazy. I actually just got a little confused in my head and just got it cleared. Milishion and Shiron. I thought Shion and Shiron. Those are different. Gotcha. Okay. No, this is where we met Paul. Okay, we're good now. Cause yeah, we went from the Milis onto the normal. Heard. Okay. We go a little travel. This was just ports, I guess. There's no, like, we're not seeing big city things. It's literally called Westport, Eastport. That's cool. Why is the Westport on the right? North, yeah, west. Why are my west and east flipped? Excuse me. Okay, then we just went up a road. Man, it's kind of this is like a crazy linear location, and that's not a bad thing. Because it's just like okay. So let me come clear. I've done world building, right? I'm currently literally working on a campaign for like a D&D campaign, right? And so I have my stupid little world map that I've like meddled with and been like, okay, like here's my main locations, here's the mountain ranges, how are these roads formed, blah, blah, blah. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, yeah, like this feels, I'm just like getting flashbacks to me trying to come up with roads. It's like they got their one main road and they're sticking to it, and I kind of respect the move. You know, because I don't got my one main road, and it kind of is hoeing me, because it's like, okay, there's a lot of intersections, like, I gotta populate this. So it's interesting from, like, a world-building way to, like, kind of, you know. And yeah, because we have, like, this road that goes from Xanto Port all the way through Milishion, across this east and west port. You can literally see the road continue, all the way up here, all the way to Capital Irisu. We got no, like, nothing into the Strife Zone, because it's the Strife Zone. I don't know what that means, but you probably don't like it. So we don't have any main roads going into there. I assume there's, like, some roads getting across this mountain range or something, but then even then, that would be, like, a continuation kind of thing. So, yeah, it's, like, this big U, and it probably used to be a circle before whatever happened to this kingdom and the Heaven Continent happened, right? But, yeah, it's interesting in that way. Do we got no big, like, this big giant hole in the middle? What is this? Like, do we have no Christopher Columbuses doing war crimes or whatever, like, across? That's kind of crazy to me, you know. Especially with magic being where it's at. Like, I I'm kind of getting the impression from some of the comments because I read through the comments. I'll do a deeper pass in a minute. Oh, this episode's about to be so long. I'm recording, right? Okay, looks like I am. Bet. I kind of got the impression that magic actually, like, there are much less super talented people than we would think. It's just like the characters we know are all extraordinarily gifted, pretty much, right? To a point that even Christopher Cliffy, that the annoying one, even that kid, like, he actually is super prodigious ultra child, when it comes to, like, innate magical talent. But like that's what some of the comments are saying, and that, like, it's like a power scaling thing, right? And so when I was meeting him, I was thinking, like, okay, this kid's definitely, like, gifted, sure. I was thinking, like, top 1% of the Magic University type thing. Where, like, yeah, he would be like one of the best students at that's kind of where I was thinking, like, okay, you're cracked, but, like, you're not, like you could maybe be, like, valedictorian if you studied, like, studied hard, like, you would have a running for it. But no, apparently he's, like, way more cracked. It's just Rudy is literally broken. So, which is another thing of, like, dang, bro, he literally just is the part of Rudy that's, like, the potential for him to have a huge ego because he's basically super OP with his magic, right? He's like that part and then blown up in the same way that freaking Pax is the pervertedness, like, taken out and blown up of Rudy. They're like little snippets of Rudy, man. Okay, back to the map. Crazy Ogre Island. Can we go to Ogre Island? Okay. But yeah, like, no big passing over the water waves. And why I brought up magic is, like, if you got water magic, because water magic's a thing, like, I could almost see a cool world building thing where we have these. Bro, I love world building. I could almost see, like, this cool, like, situation where you have, like, water mages aboard your ships to, like, pacify the waters or whatever. Guide your freaking get the wind in your sails type behavior, control the waterways a bit to, like, ease the transport. And then you would have, like, okay, like, can I get from the Chiron Kingdom, which is kind of by a port area, it's kind of by this waterway here, or, like, the edge of the water here. Could I do Chiron straight to Xanto? Like, why, like, how poor are our ships that we have to go across here? And I mean, just with the way it's been structured, I am assuming that it is this way because their ships aren't that good, or there is something in the middle here that's prohibiting transport. Like, maybe there's literally just no islands, no nothing worth exploring. But even then, you could do, like, a big coastal thing, where you just have a ship run up the coast. I feel like that'd be faster, right? But maybe there's, like, monsters or something in the water tearing apart ships, and so people are stuck doing these little mini voyages across, like, this tiny staff gaps. Who knows? There's a lot of fun questions there. Ooh, look at this, like, trapped waterway. Look at this, like, this chunk and this chunk in the Bagariot continent. Labyrinth Town, Rapan. No, nobody's going to Labyrinth Town. Can we never go into Labyrinth Town? We won't find our way out. It's called Labyrinth Town. Okay. Dragon King Mountain Range. He really got an entire mountain range after him, but not even named after him, but named after Dragon King. That's crazy. Dense forest area. Hey, speak your truth, map. Speak your truth. Okay, but yeah. So we're here in the Chiron Kingdom. We're literally just going to go up the main road. Fitoa region. Call it easy clap, right? Because we can't go over into the Strife Zone. Why would we go in Strife Zone? No, I think we're going to easy clap here because, like, surely we've been building up Sylphie the entire freaking season of, like, the return to Sylphie, since, like, episode 9, right? Or, like, even sooner, like, episode 7, where, like, Rudy's like, oh, I'm so excited to get back to Sylphie, and, like, her being teased with, like, the white hair. Like, I'm assuming we're gonna make it back to her, so I think we might even speedrun this last leg here, unless there's maybe, like, a hold up in this mountain range. I could see this being, like, a popular bandit spot, catch people, because they're not gonna be, like, dodging this road, like, yeah. So, maybe something in here, maybe something with the Strife Zone. I don't think we'll go up in there, though. I don't see a reason, because, like, the road seems pretty clear. And yeah, other than those two locations, though, I feel like we're going straight to Capital Irisu, because, I mean, we'll probably go to Capital Irisu and then hear the news about, like, where everyone is, kind of thing, right? Okay, so that's the map. Pretty sick. It is, again, really interesting to me how it seems like one path, right? Like, there's, like, if you want to get, it's like, because, like, normally with, like, like, multiple continents, I feel like it's like a web, right? Where I would have like, okay, I want to get to the demon continent from Asura Kingdom. Like, okay, maybe I could go, like, there's a way above, there's a way through, there's a way underneath. Each has its like boons and like weaknesses. Different politics are in different regions. So like maybe like one region's safer and another one's nefarious and another one, who knows? Like I don't have permission to cross there because they're like zealots or something. Like there's so many. Usually like I feel like there's a lot of different ways to reach a lot of different locations, and then maybe we'll have like isolated locations like the Holy Land of the Sword. That's like in this very like specific location, or these mountain ranges like cutting off areas like this top left area of the Strife Zone. Like you're only really getting there if you're going all the way through the Strife Zone, or you have a way through the mountains, right? So like, but usually I feel like continent to continent it's more of a web, and then you maybe have your like hidey holes within that with like exceptions. But this more so like with the lack of big big sea travel, with the lack of that, there's literally one path from one end to another, assuming that Heaven Continent just isn't an option, because I'm assuming it's not, because that would have been shorter, like a lot shorter, right? Because like you could have just gone, like we got teleport up here, we go to Kurasuma, across Heaven Continent, through this like big area. Maybe the Dragon's God Hole is like a little like, I don't know, like a place you can sneak through the mountains or something. It says hole, but like even then you wouldn't even do that. You just go through this mountain range into the Magic University. Because we were trying to get home. We weren't trying to hit all these locations and like run into people. That wasn't really the goal. So I'm assuming Heaven Continent's off limits, in which case it's just a big U, which is a very peculiar shape. I'm here for it. It's interesting. Just not something that like I would expect, right? So yeah, that's cool. It also means we've hit like every location other than like the offshoots, like Heaven Continent and Bulgaria. We've hit pretty much like, we've hit Demon, we've hit this entire chunk with the forest, we've hit the Millis continent, we've hit this big road, we've hit at least one of the big kingdoms there. Like, we've covered, 80%, 70 to 80% just in one journey, because it's not a web, it's more of a line. So, that's interesting. But yeah, so thank you to myself for looking at the map. You got tricked. But no, yeah, so that was cool to look at. Let's go to comments now. Let's go to some of the comments. We are, by the way, drinking a mucho mango. Hey, gotta have fluids in my... Okay, we're not... Whoa, okay. So yeah, it's gonna be a little weird because we're going all the way back to 18, so that was like, this was the Roxy episode, so we're gonna be jumping around a little bit, but that's alright. That's alright. That's what happens when I accidentally binge a couple. Not accidentally, when I purposefully binge a couple of episodes. Which I'm probably gonna do again. Okay. So yeah, Roxy's basically the equivalent of being deaf in her village. So true. That's another, like, I brought up autism, or like I think I brought up autism specifically, but like, as I said, I think in the episode, I'm not an autismologist or whatever. So just like developmental, social, whatever. But deaf and like very specific like language issues is even like almost like a cleaner comparison. The thing that's like interesting to me specifically is that like she feels kind of that pain whenever somebody like attempts telepathy with her. So that's almost like, I don't know, I feel like that's an even like that has like a little extra bit of like nuance, or like a little bit of extra something spicy there, because like deaf, like I have literally no idea that we're communicating because I'm deaf. Like I guess see your lips moving, but I'll just read your lips. Just whatever. But whereas for Roxy, it's like someone attempting to talk to me causes me physical pain, right? So I don't know. I think that's a very interesting distinction with her condition. This kind of stuff of like outside, and I think I mentioned this a little bit, but I appreciate the clarification. Outside of the elder, I mentioned it later in the later episodes. Outside of the elder, no one speaks at all because they don't have to. The elder deals with most outsiders because telepathy causes the village to operate at a very insular level. Yeah, just change. Forehead. I'm not a huge insular society fan, man. But like, I get it. That's how their culture works. Respect, whatever, speak your truth. But I respect your culture, except, but like, okay, your elder dies. Like, someone needs to figure out how to speak, and I'm sure like there's at least a backup person that like knows how to do that. But and like the demon continent, like if you're gonna have a place that people have more like an insular like shut away group, then demon continent seems like a pretty fitting place for it. But I don't know, that just doesn't seem... That wouldn't be a culture that I would run. I feel like that's just limiting your moves from a political perspective or something. But no, I get it, and it's an interesting location. So it's not like a dig at like the writing or anything. It's just like, it's an in-world... That's the thing. an in-world dig is very different than like a out-of-world dig. Because an out-of-world dig is like, this writing is bad, but an in-world dig is like, I totally get why it's this way, I still want to change it, you know? Which, and I try to do in-world digs sometimes, because that's part of like being immersed, I think. That's just how I roll. Okay, but yeah. And then Roxy with the Spears, having like an irrational fear. Yeah, I mean, yes. And that seems pretty classic with like most people. It's just, I'm trying to remember the episodes where Roxy, or where Rudy talked to the Roxy village, the Meagard village. Because they seemed pretty chill with it, right? I guess Roxy left when she was young, so she probably like just didn't have the ability to grow out of those, like with the village, grow out of those like tales of the Spears. Because she left when she was young, because she was, you know, in a not a very happy situation. So yeah, interesting. This I just mentioned here. Basically the same as learning sign language, which I think is, yeah, I think that's interesting. I think that's pretty true. And yes, Roxy knows her home quite well. Wait, was there anything else I was trying to see? Oh yeah, this was a really cool detail. I just wanted to like give credit for the show for this, and this is a really cool thing to point out. Of when Rudy was there was a pregnant woman, and then when Roxy showed up later, the woman had a kid. Like they had a successful birth. That's just fun. That's just good. That's just good attention to detail. So yeah, that's pretty pogged. I did see this. Somebody pointed out on the Discord where we got to see when Roxy was looking in the tavern, when she was with frickin' female Legolas, whatever her name, Elena Lees or whatever, the horse was there for a minute in like her previous squad. Man, Roxy, I'm so sorry that you had that squad. That's crazy because the horse. That's literally like this here, right? It's insane how different people are depending on how you get to know him. Perspective of our squad, the horse guy sucks, but it turns out he's another side that like Roxy knows. I mean, it's just true. That's like the world, you know. Like it reminds me of the kind of saying of, it's not even a saying, but just kind of the idea that like no one thinks they're the villain, you know. So like, oh, the villain thinks he's the good guy, right? That's like a pretty common like trope or whatever, and a lot of times I think that's accurate to just how people function. But it's like, yeah, like good and bad and like piece of garbage and like moral saints can be are like very subjective based on like how you know the person. So it is interesting to see that, but it's also, to me, it's like, dude, don't you dare try to get me to care about this horse. You know what I mean? Yeah, but I get it, and it's an important message because it's like accurate, and that's how the world works. Great Pretender goes into some of this as well, and the story's pretty poggy. Another bucket list. Okay. This is really funny. I'm not even gonna read any of this because I literally talked about it right. You literally just talked about, because this is like a take that Tiyubu, other reactor, shout out, go look at that channel. Like talked about with like autism and like in this same episode, but and then this, bro, you literally just talked about autism right after I typed this in my notes. You sodding donkey. Why would you call me a sodding donkey? I don't think that's like a Gordon Ramsay insult. Like that's like idiot sandwich, you sodding donkey, you know? But yeah. True. Humanizing Noko Para. I'm still not writing your name down, horse. I'm gonna call you the horse and I'm gonna be racist. Okay. Yeah, the Aragori. Roxy saying people expect me to cast voicelessly is just her being in her own head about being inferior to Rudy. So Rudy, the impression I'm starting to really get is that like Rudy's actually, because like, okay, I've been back and forth on it, right? Where I was like, oh, is incantation-less casting like Rudy having a special ability? But then I was like, oh no, Roxy's like aware of this being a thing, like in the early episodes. So I was like, no, it's just super rare, and like him doing it early is like really impressive. But at this point, like I'm starting to think it's even like, I don't know, Rudy's just way more cracked than I expected, or not expected, because I kind of expected it to be like this, but I kind of had like tempered back. But I feel like my Rudy is OP. Had like, this is like the stock market, okay? It was like wait, okay, like here, and I was like, okay, we're born. It's like, okay, we're pretty OP, and then I was like, you know what? No, incantation-less casting's like kind of normal or whatever, but it's gone back up where I'm like, no, this other kid that's like a prodigy, Cliff, like sucks in comparison to Rudy, and like we've seen nobody else cast incantation-lessly, you know, and like Roxy, who's really good at magic, and I'm assuming, I don't know, like, let's get to the Magic University at some point so we can, like, figure out if anyone else does this. But yeah, it's kind of a little bit of like a special ability Rudy situation. Disagreed. Or like, I wasn't really blaming Eris for a lack of expressed urgency. She's a kid and it's soon today, so it makes sense that she wouldn't express the urgency to rush home to her family. But yeah, no, I hear you, I hear. A lot of the times, like, I'll read a comment and I'll kind of, like, escape from the comment a little bit, so, like, I don't know. It's hard because I don't want to, like, bash somebody, but, like, sometimes it reminds me of something and then I end up, like, bashing that, but it's like, I'm not trying to bash the person. You know how it is. But yeah, no, I agree with this. I think that's a good read. The bridge is probably still standing because magic cheating. Real. I was just thinking, like, I was about to start trying to explain how bridges work. Okay, no. This is the Roxy stuff. So that's all we've kind of cleared that a little bit. I'm not reading this out loud. And this just makes me mad. Okay, continue. Purge the heretic Roxyism forever. Listen, Roxy's the good ending. Listen. Eris forever. One, but the Roxy lovers, I will accept that in the story for Rudy, Roxy gets the win. I want Rudy and Roxy. I ship the most out of anyone because that just is that's the best, and we've talked about that before. So I will shake hands with the Roxy lovers just for that. Shout out the Discord. This is the sword group, or the grouping of the different like classes basically of the Paul group, because I had guessed on it and then I was slightly wrong, so this is a clarification of that. What I find interesting is the fighter role being someone that has their own technique, and so for Ruijerd to have that, it's like, man, does every sword style starts as a fighter, right? It starts as someone making their own technique, but then it's just when that technique becomes like known and practiced, then it kind of becomes a sword style, right? Which is kind of the distinction. And when Ruijerd said like he would maybe think about challenging one of the strongest seven, right? Technique god, blah blah blah. When Ruijerd said that, it kind of got me, seeing this kind of got me thinking, if Ruijerd successfully fought some of those guys, he could start a new sword style, you know? If he is that strong, then who's to say that he couldn't turn his own thing into some sort of, spear-focused sword style? Call it, he's the poke god, because he has a spear? Okay. Eris team. She's basically a disabled girl in the village, it's not anyone's fault. I mean, sure, that's the crazy thing. It's real, I can't blame anyone. I can poke at it, and I have, of just, I feel like we could have done this better, but, at the end of the day, it's not malicious, and it's, a situation that happens in the real world. So, yeah, I really, there's a lot of nuance, and, we've talked about it, we're still talking about it, right? Which shows that there's a lot to talk about, which shows that there's some good stuff there. I don't even know what you're talking about here. Frog people, a gas station, and cigarettes. Right here, whoop, over my head. Okay, next comment section, the OVA. Oh, so this is some of the stuff I was talking about with Cliff. Some of the stuff with Cliff. Of Cliff being, super proficient in magic. Of just, he can be considered a genius for learning advanced magic at his age. Rudy is just an exception. There are no mages like him in this generation. They've kind of tried to even say that in the show. Whenever he'd be like, nobody can do this except for me. I am truly a genius. On one hand, I believe him, but on the other hand, it's yeah, I don't care about the common folk, okay? I don't see somebody that only can cast beginner magic actually having a role in the story and being important, and or even not a role in the story, but even a role in the world, right? So when it comes to okay, the players in the world that are making the moves, I kind of assumed he was middling in the pack, he had potential but wasn't necessarily super cracked for the big players. But no, I'll give him a bit of this. He's a bit spicier than I would expect. But yeah, this line of Rudy's just an exception. There are no mages like him in his generation. I think you're kind of right. It's hard to tell, especially because we're on. Where are all the super proficient mages at? Roxy is really good, but I don't see her as a top dog, a top dog. I see her as top of the pack, but not alpha in the water mage or anything. So I don't know. I'm just very curious. Obviously in this generation, Rudy's going to keep growing. He'll eventually be super cracked, but yeah. Cliff gets a unique intro hinting he is of some importance. I am not writing your name down. That's just funny to me. This is funny too, dude. Eris is the best girl. Eris is my favorite. I love this girl. I am joking. I am not. You're right. You're so incredibly correct. Ruijerd not helping Eris fight against the 5 top tier assassins. This is just, Eris is that cracked. Eris is that girl. I love her. And then yeah, like the thing with her intervening in the situation, like a potential recklessness. Yeah, I'm it's just recklessness is something we've seen in her character before, right? Of like emotion, like not even reckless, but like very emotive, very like passionate and loud, which can kind of lead into a recklessness. But she hasn't really done anything hyper reckless, like, because I mean I'm just thinking like her stomping people's heads in and, you know, doing her thing, speaking her truth. Loud. That's Eris. We all know Eris. I don't need to explain Eris's character to you. So I'm kind of curious if it'll end, like if her emotions will get the better of her in like a combat situation. And we haven't really seen that much, but that was kind of the line. But yeah, I'm not super locked into it or anything. For example, she was really reluctant to go into the force because Knight was falling too soon. Yeah, she's a smart girl. She's definitely smart. Cliff, kind of like some Cliff stuff. I mean, I agree with this. There is some of the Pope stuff that I think I mixed. I think I flipped the groups. So, and there's some clarification in here. So one of the other comments clarifies it. But yeah, I mean, I agree with this read of Cliff. He's spoiled brat. Like, he actually is prodigious, but that just like makes him think he's even more a big deal. And like he kind of is a big deal, which makes it even worse, but he's also kind of not a big deal, and blah 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 blah. So, and by the way, he was picked up by the Pope group. Current Pope wants to coexist with demons, and Temple Knights are racist towards demons. So that's the crazy thing to me. I thought that the Temple Knight was with the current Pope. I think that's what I thought. Yeah, I have it written as Temple Knights - Pope team with Blessed Child. So that's where I got mixed up. Because the current Pope's good. Because what I was kind of, I guess, yeah, in retrospect, it makes a lot less sense. But I was kind of thinking, like, my interpretation. Because I was thinking current Pope liked demons, but the next runner-up Pope in the Pope's faction was going to be racist. And it was potentially that specific child was like raised for that, but that doesn't even really make that much sense. So let me clarify my notes. Temple Knights are racist towards demons, so they're the anti-Pope team that wants to drive out the demons. The Pope team, I'm gonna write Pope team. Pope team likes demons. Pope team, not racist. Woo! Oh, I think what confused me was we saw the scene with like the guards keeping out the people, like keeping out the demons, right? So I kind of assumed that like the racist ones were the ones that were with the government. I think that's where I got confused. Maybe I'm still confused. I think I got it though. I think I got it. Where the Temple Knights are the anti-Pope team. Wait, am I stupid? Okay, he was picked up by the Pope. Wait, okay, there's another comment. Where's the other comment? Where is the other comment? I got the map. We looked at the map. Right here. Unless I missed something, I think you got the two sides of the fight wrong. The Pope and the Blessed Child are not on the same side. Okay, the assassins with the Cliff Squad are with the Pope. Okay, yeah. The assassins are with the Pope. So yeah, okay. The assassins with the Pope, written down, marked under Cliff. The Knights, while the Temple Knights are with whatever faction the Blessed Child belongs to. Yeah, so the assassins are with the Pope, and that was with Cliff, and then the Temple Knights, which had that girl that we talked to, and then the Blessed Child are anti-Pope. Yeah. The Knights are with whatever faction the Blessed Child belongs to, which is different than the Pope faction. Also, I feel like Therese probably isn't related to people who killed Eris's grandfather, since that happens on the Central Continent, where the group is currently on the Melos Continent. Yeah, and there's another comment that gets into that. So yeah, okay, back to the top. Sorry. Maybe I might even run that by the Discord to super clarify, but I think we're good. I think we're good to continue. Okay. I thought it's crazy. Okay, continuing. Ruijerd. Oh yeah, Eris killing for the first time. I guess that's true. I didn't even really think about that. Yeah, I mean, her killing the goblins, she was just like, oh, goblins dead. Oh, assassin's dead. It's based. I love her. Yeah, so I agree with all that. This is why Night Lady reacted oddly when Eris said she was a spear demon, basically. And no, she wasn't the girl we saw at Sarsa's execution. Those are different countries on different continents separated by sea. I'm sure there will be multiple people in the comments who are willing to expand on that with the political shenanigans. I'm too lazy for that. So yeah, we're basically get rid of that idea entirely. Why are there so many blonde people with blue eyes? Think about it. Maybe there's a deeper connection. No, I'm joking. It was a fun thing to spurg out about, though. Because, like, where was it? Right here. The female of the Temple Knights is actually connected to Zenith. That's cut content. So Pog, I guess. Or something like that. I don't even know what to do with that information. Like, that doesn't really mean much to me. Because I guess it makes sense because we're on the Millis continent and Zenith had blonde hair, so I can see the connection. But yeah, so pull out on the whole idea of so Eris ended up accidentally helping a Zenith connection, which is cool, but not really something of importance immediately. So yeah, interesting. Okay. Light novel stuff, super pogged. I'd like to read some of the light novel chapters, maybe some of the fun ones at some point. I'd be super down for that. Why Rudy isn't doing anything about Man God? Well, I don't know exactly what you'd expect him to do. That's such a hard question to answer. But, as I've kind of been saying, we need information, right? Can we just, what I think would be the move, because I don't know what to do, right? I don't think there is really much to do right now, because we have no idea what's up with Man God. Like, we are playing with an unknown, not even we are playing, an unknown third party is playing with us, right? And I don't like being played with. Whoa, pause. But, so what I would want is to get rid of the unknown factor, read some books, go to a church, go into some ancient tomes about Man God, see if those exist. Is this guy like a well-known figure or not? Because if I'm assuming being named Man God that the man, or just like humans of the world, would have some sort of deific worship knowledge of the guy. So that's really just a play, I think, of just try to get some of that, and then we can maybe get a lead. That's what I want him to do. That's what I would expect him to do. I think that's reasonable enough. In terms of making any big moves, now's not the time. Now is not at all the time. You just gotta play along with him until you have the information, and then you can maybe like do something crazy. But yeah, it's just a big unknown. And I think it's a massively important unknown that Rudy is ignoring a little bit. But I don't blame him because there's so much going on, you know. So it's not like a horrible misplay or anything. But it's, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, and then in this world, all he wants is to improve himself. He's not trying to do some crazy move making, like top of the world thing, necessarily. I think that's pretty accurate, that he's trying to just live like a good life. He doesn't have like huge ambitions or anything. But you know the crazy thing, Rudy? You don't need to have ambition if Man God's on your back. Like, you're gonna be forced to do crazy stuff. It's just that the circumstances didn't allow him to do that. Like, even if all this stuff wasn't happening, I am so worried about the gods. Just because if they know about you getting reincarnated, it's like, dog, we got to figure out why you are here. Because if you don't figure it out, I feel like it's going to hoe you one day. But maybe it won't, and then maybe that would just lead you to kind of self-fulfilling prophecy, hoe yourself and trying to, like, figure it all out. So, like, I don't know. Wait for the storm to pass, just kind of let it do its thing? Perhaps. It's a tough situation. That's why I think we need knowledge. But the thing we can both agree with is Eris is the best girl. We could definitely agree with that. Wait, there's a little bit more here. Yeah, and I did read a little bit of, I think, yeah, in the Discord or something, somebody posted a little bit of, like, what you're talking about here with, like, some of the Rudy internal thoughts. I actually liked that. What I liked about that is it showed that Rudy, like, wanted to change and, like, had an internal struggle with his problems. Because that, to me, is a much more engaging protagonist than one that literally is just garbage, right? Because, like, early on, a couple comments are kind of giving me the impression, or, like, a couple, not necessarily comments, but just what people were saying, were kind of giving me the impression that, like, Rudy didn't think what he was doing was bad with, like, the sexuality issues that, like, from the beginning kind of chunk, right? Like, that was kind of the impression I was getting from just, like, the general, like, other, you know, like, the general fan base or audience or whatever. That, like, Rudy was just, like, more like he just didn't know it was wrong, or, like, didn't really care that much. And that, to me, was, like, problematic, and I didn't like that. Like, I thought that made Rudy, to me, less engaging and less of someone that I cared about, right? Because it was like, okay, like, if you have problems but you don't even know they're problems, then it's like, okay, like, are we even doing anything here, you know? So to see those inner thoughts, I think, gave him, like, a depth that like, okay, I can see you're struggling with something, and I agree that you should be struggling with this. Like, this is a good thing to fight against, so I can root for you, you know? So I did really like that. This is a crazy sense to me of, honestly, I'm kind of dreading watching your reactions to the future MT episodes because, oh boy, that's sure going to be something interesting to witness. People have been saying this the entire time of, oh, the episode's going to, oh, your mind's going to explode. You know, it's like, I don't know. Okay, I haven't seen it yet, so we will just see. I'm just going to approach it as I have been. If it's hot garbage, then I'm going to say it's not good. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't like people dreading though, because that's a negative emotion, right? Like, I don't know. That makes me like I would want you to be like excited, so happy. But nah, okay, we'll see. Hey, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. It's a crazy show. Cliff is super insanely Giga Chad Omega lol. This is like that kind of same thing of 1 out of 40,000 able to cast a single advanced spell after dozens of years of training. So the crazy thing to me is like, how many people are in this world? Is 40,000 a lot? I don't know. Because it has to do with how prosperous the world is. Like, how much of a cataclysm, like, was the Demon King stuff. Or, like, the Laplace Demon God stuff. Because if it's not that big, like, I don't know. There could be a lot of people. There could be not a lot of people. So, it's kind of an interesting figure to throw around. But yeah, I'm definitely, the Cliff people are saying, hey, Cliff's a move. So, I got you there. This is a fun breakdown of different Sword God styles that were used. I did read through this. North God, I actually respect North God a lot more now because it's just a fun one, right? Of just like doing a bunch of weird nonsense. That's like that's my favorite thing. It's just like innovative, right? And I can respect ingenuity. So I'm kind of, because Sword God's like the attack style, Water God's like the defense style. North God is the just random nonsense style. That one's the fun one. Whole extra episode so Eris could flex. So real. Chanting's the main weakness of magic. I thought this was interesting of like people use lower level magic because the incantations are shorter, and that a god level healing spell takes 16 hours. That's insane. That's literally insane. Which makes it so much more OP that Rudy can negate that somewhat. Which is kind of crazy. How like I feel like we've seen it a little bit with the guards in the last like 2 episodes. When, like 2 episodes ago, I think, when Rudy used the earth magic to grab Aisha and get out of dodge, they were like, oh my goodness, an incantationless caster. Like, that's a really big deal. I mean, considering that, I was kind of saying this too, of like, with Cliff, you know, where he's sitting back there while Eris is killing all the goblins, going, Humzy Bamba, fire, let the spirits of the phoenix guide my flame. Like, okay, dude, like, we don't have time to, like, write it into a novella to actually cast a spell. So that just makes Rudy even more powerful, basically. This is so real, so real. We cleared this up, The kid's not necessarily racist. I was kind of trolling a little bit, I won't lie. It's just fun to call children racist. No. It's the more so idea there is that, like, being raised by racist people, like, you're gonna become racist, even if you're not racist already. That was kind of the play. But the Pope team is not racist. The Temple Knights are racist. Right? Yes. Okay, pogged. Me when a girl I just met massacres my tutors, or my mentors, marry me. Real. Hey, if Eris is gonna... Okay, listen. If I'm a 14-year-old and Eris massacres my mentors, I'm saying the same thing. That sounded odd. Okay, no, the show's not getting to me. Okay, no, this isn't... I'm not going on a freaking corruption arc. Quiet. Man God is pulling some strings for sure, but I don't think he was the one writing the novel. Some things are definitely coincidences and other writing decisions that are not to do with the Man God. I mean, true. It's just, there are so... I made a list. I sat down for for 2 to 3 minutes, and I just was like, okay, what's every coincidence that's kind of crazy that I can think of, just off the top, right? And it's a pretty heavy thing. I'm gonna save it for like 1 or 2 later comments. But there's just so many of them that I want to at least attribute some to Man God, or else I think or else I would poke at the writing. And so I'm honestly giving an olive branch to the writing of the story by saying maybe there's an in-world justification for like the many coincidences that are happening. Because if not, like I don't know, it feels a little contrived. But you know, we got to see what's going on with Man God. We need more information with Man God. This information interesting. Not sure what to do with it. It cut content, so how it goes. Therese had another scene with Rudius. There might be another scene with her, but that's way outside season 2 or perhaps 3. But yeah, she's not related to the nobles that killed Eris's grandfather. Super real. We got the map. I thought this was a good point as well. Like, being high ranking in Magic doesn't mean you're good, you know? Especially with, like, this big, I thought that's super true. Especially just with the long casting times. Like, with them increasing with the level of the spell, at least good at adventuring, right? If we're using adventuring in those kind of conflicts as, like, our benchmark, then yeah, I totally, like, super real. Oh, look at this. How did I not see this? Literally the factions. The faction that hates demons are the Blessed Child and Therese. Is that what I have? Guys, I think it's what I have. Guys and girls of the jury. Yeah, Temple Knights. Sorry, I'm speaking into the mic. The faction hating demons with the Blessed Child and Therese. Bet. The faction hoping to coexist with demons, Cliff, the Pope, and the Assassins. Okay, we're good. We got it. Nice. So yeah, and they were trying to assassinate the Blessed Child. And that makes sense. That totally makes sense to me. Freaking Chiron. What's that one guy's name that I don't... Prince Zenoba. He's an entire Blessed Child, and instead of going for the Pope, he's literally just like... looking at figurines. That's crazy to me. Real with Eris. Okay, continuing. Episode 19. Now we're in the freaking... This is like its own arc, right? The 1920. Okay. This is what I was saving my contrivance / freaking coincidence list for. Ooh, wait, can you see that? The previous? Okay. I think you're overstating convenience a little. Ruijerd can see the mana of leaving creatures with his eye, saw 2 children falling from the sky and rushed to aid them. The thing Ruijerd does, help children, blah, blah, blah. So, like, yeah, this is kind of going, like, note on note on some of the things I was pointing at, like, as coincidences and, like, kind of giving counter-arguments. The Ruijerd point, I'm going to be honest, I was thinking teleportation, not falling from the sky. But even then, he does have the third eye, so him showing up, like, fair enough. But also, like, it's a big demon continent, right? Like... And I assume there's a lot of kids that need help, but, I mean, fair. Like, if there is, like, he has a lot of really good recon ability, so that has some explanation to it. And yeah, like, he had to, like, it was, like, a multiple-day journey, so, like, he had, like, I mean, he has the third eye, right? The 2 children from the sky are interesting. Is that, like, I wonder, like, we don't actually know that in the anime. We don't know if I assume they teleported, right? Because falling from the sky is, like... What, they bounced? They just got, like somebody, like, the teleport, like, the beam happened and they got, like, picked up and thrown or, like, dropped airbound. I mean, if they fell from the sky, wouldn't they just die on impact? So, yeah, I was thinking they just kind of, like, appeared, magically teleported. But then, even then, Ruijerd got the third eye, so that even wouldn't be a huge thing there. Roxy, the thing about Roxy, that's the big coincidence and contrivance to me, is that she sees Rudy, it was played as, like, a freaking joke, right? Which is fine. Like, they're using it as a joke, and they're kind of playing around with, like, oh, look, she's so close to meeting up with Rudy, but she doesn't. So it's like, okay, whatever. If you want to just troll, like, you can troll. But it's literally, she meets the 2/3 of the party that have no reason to be met, you know? Or, like, that, like, doesn't do anything. Like, if she met Rudy, it would be completely different. So she just barely doesn't meet Rudy, like, 3 times. And, like, on top of that... His name is different for, like, a kind of random reason, like with the faction, right? The dead end. He has his own dead end name that's not Rudy, just so that it almost feels like that was done just so that she wouldn't find him, you know, as opposed to being, like, more natural. That's just the impression I kind of got from that. But, you know, that's just, like, one thing. So it's like that. The thing is, all of these things alone aren't a big deal. I feel like every single episode, or, like, every arc, at least, has had, like, at least one random kind of big thing that, like, is a big connection. The thing with Ghislaine is from the forest that you have to pass through to reach Millis from Zantport. So I looked at the map, just, again, I hadn't looked at it previously. This was the first time I looked at the map at the beginning of this episode, right? But, looking at the map, like, yes, like, that big forest, but... Specifically, Rudy got kidnapped into it. Like, if he didn't get kidnapped, he wouldn't have run into the beast people, right? He would have just walked past them on that road. So, like, that specifically took him getting kidnapped by them, which was because he was, like, horny and then started petting a dog, which were two separate occasions, right? But, you know, it's like, he gets captured. It's like he gets captured by the Peace People, and we have a little mini Beast People arc to give us context on Ghislaine, as opposed to, like, it feels like it's for the purpose of the Ghislaine thing, or, like, that's just kind of, you know, so it just, you know, that kind of thing. And then, yeah, it's been a really long time. So, like, I'm gonna now hit you with my list of things, okay? Just to make me feel like I'm less crazy. But, like kind of what I mean by, like, these coincidences and contrivances are, like Geese. Geese is a really good example. Because it's literally, think about it, right? Geese shows up in the cell. He gets captured. To us, it's just like, okay, who's this random guy, right? Thrown in the cell. Even like a little bit away from the Paul gang, right? But like then we get revealed later, like, oh wait, he was actually part of Paul's old party. What a coincidence. But like, so like that's one thing. It's like, okay, you want to introduce some of Paul's party, make him one of the prisoners, sure. The thing that's like crazy to me is that Geese then turns around and becomes instrumental in the solving of the next conflict, right? So he gets thrown into the cell. We get to meet him. It's like, okay, random new character, sure. Random bandit guy, I'm down with that. But it's like, no, he's actually part of the Paul group. It's like, okay, kind of random, but okay. But then it's like, no, he's part of the Paul group, and he's the one that orchestrates, like talks Paul down from, like, losing it with Rudy, right? He's the one that does so much of the repairing relationship with Paul. He could only really do that, or, like, I guess he would only really care to do that, or, like, not only, but one of the big reasons that he cares to do that is because he knows Rudy, and he likes Rudy because he's already met Rudy. Which is just, he met Rudy on pure happenstance. So the solving of that conflict was based in us randomly meeting Geese, and Geese randomly meeting us being a placeholder for Rudy, and then that's what like solved a lot of the conflict. And so that to me is like when like that's like a bit of a coincidence, but then it's a coincidence that also was instrumental in the solving of a conflict, of like an arc, basically. That's where it's like starting to get okay. Whatever, I'm like, alone it's not a problem, but like, moving on to the list, Ghislaine family, we've already talked about, and like, we walked through and that's part of the linear kind of map structure, like it almost, like, yeah, like the linear map structure kind of feels like a similar part of this, but yeah. Sophie being at the Saros execution, kind of a coincidence, but like that hasn't been used yet for a thing, so it's just, that's not a big one, but that's just, like, she's there, we know who Sophie is. Meeting Roxy's family was kind of crazy because the Demon Continent's big, so for us to just run into Roxy's village was kind of crazy. Because, like, obviously we know who Roxy is, you know? Running into Ruijerd, we already talked about. Lilia landing outside the only place that would get her hoed because of the Roxy connection's kind of crazy to me. That's one thing I was pointing at, like, maybe that's the gods doing something specific. The freaking... I literally wrote down a palace figurine guy. What's his freaking name? Zenoba. And then, okay, I'm just going to keep going. If you want to skip this part, skip this part. I'm going to keep going while this is highlighted. So you can go right, do your thing. But the I forgot his name already. Zenoba? Yeah, Zenoba. Zenoba is, so he's instrumental to the solving of that arc, right? And this is something Man God specifically, like, orchestrated. So, like, again, this is why I'm trying to point at the gods, right? As a potential, like, way of why these things are as they are. But he just so happens to have the Roxy figurine, and it's kind of done under the pretext of, like, okay, like, they had Roxy as the tutor, so, like, if they see that around, like, they're gonna buy it. Like, that makes sense, but how did it get there? Like, you're telling me it passed through all the hands to get to the market that one of the people of that specific city, like, found? Like, that's a bit, bit of a coincidence. But alone, that's not a big deal, right? It's like, okay, sure, like, a bit of a random fun thing. It's like, oh, we gotta see the figurine again, sure, whatever. But that was an instrumental part. Literally, that's what formed the bond between Rudy and Zenoba, that then was how Rudy got out of his containment. And got Zenoba, like, on our side temporarily. Because Rudy's sculpture that he made randomly in another city made it into these hands, and then the guy came down and was talking to him about it. Like, that just, literally, it fell into his lap. A way to escape the situation randomly fell into lap of, okay, the figurine that I made is here, and the guy loves figurines, and he's willing to betray his brother because I know the things about the figurine because I made it. Like, it's just very coincidental, and like, it wouldn't be an issue if it, like, wasn't solving the arc, Like, it literally is what frees Rudy, and, like, it solves the arc. That's which is why it's like, okay, surely this is a god that, like Man God read the situation, that's why he got Rudy to do all this stuff. Which makes me think that maybe he's even orchestrating it to a deeper level instead of just, like, pointing Rudy in the right direction. Because for figurine to even be in his hands, is kind of a crazy event for Rudy's figurine to be in the guy's hands. You know, it's like a small world. It's like constantly a small world. Which is why I'm, the gods maybe. Let's see. Ghislaine, where's Ghislaine? I mean, we've walked across the entire world. I mean, she's got to be in the heavens area, right? Because that area we know nothing about. Or she's in the bottom left one. And, like, the thing with Ghislaine is, she's so... Because, like, somebody talked about it. No, yeah, we got the map. Frick, where was it? Something about London. Somebody made a London example. Was in the next one? Oh, wait, did I not read any of these? I didn't even read the last, wait, did I not? Well, okay, no, I didn't read that. I'll have to pause and read episode 20. That's crazy. I only read 19. Somebody, like, made it, oh, right here. Okay, we're good. Sorry. About Ghislaine not being found so far, imagine you are here and just got randomly teleported from, say, London to the middle of Australia, no phones, no nothing, even though you're completely fine, how long would it take you to get back? The thing is, unless we're teleported, like, Rudy got teleported to the polar opposite side of the globe, man. Deep in the demon continent, like, when we looked at the map, unless Ghislaine or these other people are literally on other sides of the world, like Rudy was faster, by like a pretty, and I would expect Ghislaine to be faster than Rudy if push came to shove, because Ghislaine's freaking Giga Woman. It'd be like ask, like if Ruby Jerd wanted to go from one end to the other without having to babysit, like, I feel like he could do it a lot faster. Though you might say, like, okay, but he's a spirit, how is he going to get port stuff, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, maybe he's lacking a little bit of the knowledge. And maybe Ghislaine's run into that as well, where it's like she doesn't know how to navigate, freaking money stuff to get, like, shipment, or, like, to get moved across, like, the heaven area into the right area, or the bottom left area into the right area, sure. But it's just, like, there's a lot of, like, in the big line that we've traveled, in the big U shape that we've traveled, if Ghislaine was dropped anywhere on that line, I feel like she would be, like, as fast. Maybe not in the demon continent, because it's a big continent. I don't know. That's not even a big point. That's not even a big point. So, no, I get the Ghislaine thing. The not meeting Roxy at the port thing is just, they're kind of trolling when they did that, but, like, whatever. Meeting Paul randomly in the city, like, right before the letter got sent, because it's like we didn't get to, like, clarify things with the letter, and then that caused the breakdown in the relationship, but that was for drama, so it's like, okay, whatever, I'll accept it for drama. And then Eris helping out, who turned out to be like, somebody connected to somebody we already knew, which was completely random, like, that's gonna come up later, right? So it's just like, there's all these things that are just kind of crazy connections, right? And when they're being used as ways to solve an arc, instead of, like, our characters are doing something, it's like, no, something kind of fell into our lap. I want to say it's either somehow destined to happen because of, like, a god meddling, or then it's like a style of writing that I don't like as much. It's one of those two options, right? And it's not, I would say that that would be a criticism from me if it's not the gods. And I think some of them are, but some of them aren't, and I don't know. It's contrived, right? Contrived is not a positive thing to say about a story. I still like the show, even if it is the case, right? But yeah, that's that. That's okay. Bing, put a pin in it. We'll circle back if we want to talk about it later. Okay. I haven't assaulted a castle in ages, such a raw line. It's super true. When's the next comment episode? I don't freaking know. We might. It depends how many I watch tonight, which depends how long the energy stays. I might just finish out the season and then, like, maybe do start a season 2 thing. I was maybe even considering doing, like, a tier list between the seasons, because that's kind of fun to do, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out is the answer. I don't have an answer because I don't plan very much. This thing, which is true, which I think is true, especially just because I kind of got thinking just now of, like, Ghislaine had to learn basic arithmetic, and, like, a large part of the reason that Rudy and the gang have traveled so far is they have Ruby Jerd for safety and power, and they have Rudy, who's, like, super correct as a wizard, and then knows how to travel and, like, knows how to do money, and, like, it's smart, So for Ghislaine to be more trapped makes more sense, but yeah. I'll give you that one. Regarding Man God and Rudius, up until now, Man's God has really helped Rudius, even resulting in a Demon Eye, which is fairly OP to get for free. Man God isn't... Yeah, he's definitely being shifty. The Demon Eye... It's called a Demon... Like, is there any downside to the Demon Eye? I'm worried that there's a deep curse somewhere within it or something, but perhaps not, perhaps not. Maybe Kisharika was just in a good mood, right? Because I mean, Kisharika got fed, and then Rudy was nice to her, so easy clap. And blah blah blah. More importantly, he did specifically say that if Rudius did things exactly as he told him to do, both Lilia and Aisha would be saved, implying that it would be almost impossible to save both of them if he did things differently, which is why Rudy went with Man God's plan verbatim, pretty much. And it's worked, and it's worked. The thing is, like, implying it would be almost impossible to save both of them if he did things differently. I mean, I don't think so, because literally you just, like, what? The kid was literally sitting next to Lilia, who was just sitting there kidnapped. Like, Rudy, turn around, big earth spell, block the door, blast Pax's head off, break a window, you're gone. Like, like, I think Man God was implying that, yes, I think that's fair to say. As for it being true, I would say it's not. I would disagree that that's true. But I do think, I think it's very fair that that's at least what Man God's kind of implying. And, like, why would Rudius risk it, right? Why would he, like, test Man God's divination ability if, like, Lilia's line Lilia's life is on the line? Fair enough. Pax is very yucky, to say the least, but to be completely fair, every single noble we've seen up until now has been a complete degenerate. I mean, some more than others. Pax was, like, taking it to a whole nother level. Because, like, okay, having a beast person fetish is one thing. I mean, it's also pretty bad because they might be buying the enslaved ones, which is, like, really not good. But, like, Paul, like, adultery versus kidnapping people's families and, like, saying that you're going to do horrible sexual things to somebody and then chop off their best, like, their apprentice's head and then keep doing it. It's just on an entirely other level. But yeah, I mean, it's not like it's not expected, especially if Pax, like, we've seen Pax before as, like, a complete rat. But yeah, I mean, it's the standard for the world, but it's just gross. It's still gross. Also, I know you dislike Rudius, but to be fair, his main message tries to improve. Dislike, it's like, if I met Rudius in real life, I would not like Rudius. I at all. As a character, like, I'm happy to be, with him on the journey, and I'm having a good time with him. So it's not like I don't dislike him as a character. I almost said yet. That's crazy. Sometimes we teetering the line a little bit, but at least it's like, it's something new, and it's something like, so it's like, it has like a novelty to it of like a character that has a lot of things that like puts me off, but it's like, okay, maybe, but he's also trying to break out of it. So it's like, I can root for you. Is, it's a fun situation. So I'm totally on board with like his improving, him say like being the freaking moral straight line for Aisha when Aisha's saying like, I'm gonna be voluptuous, and he's like, no, stop. Like, that's a really good Rudy move. And yeah, him and Eris's relationship are pretty, yeah, they're good. Like, they haven't done anything, we haven't seen really much at all of like super bad stuff anymore, or like, him like rub-a-dub it on her while she's sleeping in the hay. We're not really seeing more of that behavior. So I mean, it's been good so far. And the Rudy mentality for growth is really like what's making Rudy engaging up to this point. So I'm totally down. We love the energy. We keep it rolling. We're corrected on this, that the like Theresa gang is separate completely from the central gang. I mean the two, if I'm remembering the world map right, I only looked at it just now in the beginning, right? But I wouldn't be surprised if some of the empires are cross-continental, though I don't think they are, just because they haven't been said to be. But that would be interesting, just to see like maybe like who's to say that the Pope organization like isn't rooted in both areas. But who's to say the world, because we haven't really seen that in the world. But yeah, so no, I mean, agreed, we're good. We love ripping children's heads off. This is just funny to me. Freaking poor Roxy getting rolled and smoked. Ruijerd continues to be the best person alive. Weren't you supposed to be the straight man? Hey, sometimes a straight man has to raid a castle. It is what it is. We love losing the mind. In the novels, Rudy broke both his legs in the landing. I assume when he's like dropping from the spot. Ouch. Could he just heal though? Because in that case, if he can just immediately heal his legs, then it's like, I don't know. How good is his healing? Can we fix a broken leg? I don't know if that's within like our ability to heal. But if so, then go back to your Super Mario hopping strat, Interesting novel like cut for him to not like break his leg. I guess it's just kind of like episode 19 and 20 was like almost a little oddly to me like more comedic than I expected. Because like with how hard Pax was going into it, I was like, okay, like let's let's turn up the drama. We're at the end of the season. Like, I'm ready for some, like, let's make something happen. Like, I'm ready to get serious with it. But then they it was a lot more comedic than I expected. So that was probably part of why the legs weren't broken, is that, like, that's kind of a tone thing. Just a thought. First Cliff, now Pax. What's with the little boys hate? Cliff sucks, and Pax is the worst. If you want little boys to not be hated, then make better. I don't know. I just don't like talking about little boys is odd. Just the term little boys. They both suck, and I stand by it. And I would like. Cliff isn't that bad. He's like annoying, but Pax is like actually a degenerate monster. Saurus and Thuris are not even in the same continent. We looked at the map, so we're good. Cliff fell off. Cliff never was on. Cliff was always off. Anti-magic barrier thing is kind of stupid. If something that powerful exists, it should be used more. I assume it just takes a massive amount of like money to set up. I mean, with like the high level incantations, like as we like learned in this comment section, taking like for the god level like healing magic takes 16 hours. You know, like you got to set up a magic barrier to restrain Roxy out of everyone. Then like that's gonna be, you know, crazy high level magic, probably crazy long incantation time. Gonna have super powerful mage to do it. You know, that's kind of my guess on that. Or who knows, maybe like an enchanting process is even longer than like a spell. Like we could have like an entire rune system or something. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna now take a quick pause because I have to read the episode 20 comments because I forgot to. So, a bet. Okay. So we are back. Just read all of these. First off, very surprised about everyone loving Zenoba. I was not expecting that one. Is this does he come back or something? Or is this like this one episode like, I don't know. Okay. Hey, if you like what you like. So yeah, let's just go top to bottom. I gave this a little quick pass and we can do another one. So, yes, this episode was fun. It was, man, I was riding the energy off of 19 so hard, bro. It was right after your boy was cracked. Okay. Or was cracking. Okay. This is some interesting like stuff in the novel about Zenoba of like when he showed up at the end, he was covered with blood, had killed multiple of the soldiers to get to Pax, had killed his baby brother, ripped his wife's head off during their first night, blah blah blah. That's kind of insane, obviously, to me. The specifically ripping the wife's head off during their first nights, like okay, I could kind of see why maybe he would like the figurine thing, right? Because obviously that's like his main character thing, is like being super into the figurines. Him ripping his wife's head off, I feel like it's like, okay, if it's so dangerous to like he's a person that can't really necessarily do a light touch because he's so strong that a light touch could kill someone, right? So for him to have like a super deep fascination with like something that would require an extreme light touch, like figurine making, like would kind of be a fun like, you know, just play on like his powers and like how he views the world. And like everything is made out of paper, but is made out of like super fragile glass, but look at this like beautiful tiny thing. Like how would somebody even create this? Because if I tried to create something like this, I would dust it immediately. And also like the ripping the wife's head off, that's kind of like a part of that. And also maybe like why he's focused, not necessarily like a sexual energy into the figurines, but like has like he can't obsess into women or like that kind of stuff like Pax is doing, for example, or like what most of the a lot of the degenerate nobles, you know, he can't go into he can't do that because he would kill people. So instead he's like shifted into something else that like, that's kind of cool. I can respect that. So yeah, I like that extra context. He almost cracked Rudy's neck. Oh my goodness. I love Zenoba, but I'll worry about the people who will get mad because you didn't instantly love him. Man was just losing it, okay? Man literally was introduced scrubbing the floor with his body going and like a little spider. Like, Zenoba, calm down. I'm in a prison cell, Zenoba. And this guy just, did you hear what he said about Roxy? He didn't, but got a good laugh at your annoyance and frustration with Zenoba. Like the guy would totally get you. He's weird, but at least he's only focused on figurines and doesn't care about people, so he's not perving on Roxy herself, but is just fascinated in our figurine. Wait, what? Yes, true. It's interesting, like, him being fascinated on the figurine of Roxy's, like, it's a little weird, but it's, like, not nearly as bad as most of the other people, of course, because it's, like, harmless compared to Pax, who's very harmful. The thing is, like, one of the reasons that like because like a lot of the people are like saying like let me I'll just save it I'll save it like after we hit some more stuff. Pax is the seventh prince, so I'd assume there are at least another six. I mean, yes, but like what happened to the other six? Like when he was on the throne, I assumed that there was just one ruler. Turns out there's multiple. Kind of intrigued on how this governmental structure works, where it's like a bunch of different brothers, and apparently like with some infighting where like Zenoba is threatening to kill Pax, so it's like how it almost has like a disjointed maybe like leadership feel. Yeah, so I'd be interested on how that government kind of functions. Being the seventh prince, like, yeah, does it, because like normally it would just be like the oldest son or whatever gets to be the next monarch. So for him to be the seventh, does that mean he's like way less politically powerful or important? Because it didn't really seem that way. It kind of felt like they were all on kind of an even ground. Yeah. So, I don't know. True. Next few episodes about to be straight bangers. Figurine in the Roxy figurine's an actual figurine you can buy. Does it do the thing? And she's like covering up. That's just wild to me. Zenoba is best boy, apparently. Haven't caught up with the reaction since like F9, but after randomly decide to read comments here, I'm extremely surprised with people's love for Zenoba. Don't worry, Pink, you're definitely not alone feeling like that about this character. Okay, hey, I appreciate that. I don't even like absolutely hate the guy, okay? Like I'll get to that in a second. This I really liked. I didn't even think about this really. Aisha's voluptuous comment being like her testing Rudy and like testing the perversion. That's actually kind of Giga Chad and fits with her character. Like she's a genius. She's super smart. So for her to, because you know she knows that she has like a perverted brother and like it's obviously figured out that Rudy is that guy. For her to be like giving him opportunities to prove to himself to be perverted and then for him to like dodge like that would make a lot of sense. So I actually totally agree with that read. I think that makes a lot more sense and also it's just cooler. So Aisha, hey, moved up the tier list. Good job, Aisha. Good job, Aisha. Lilia raising her to surf him, but I don't think she's raising her to surf him this way. I think you're right. Just remembering that like Aisha's kind of super smart, which would give her, and like I feel like she has good motive to test Rudy, which means that kind of speaking was not impressioned upon her as much as a decision she made for like a purpose. So that's like the hope has increased. Vinland's saga slander out of nowhere. Okay. Kind of here for Pink hating on the characters and then seeing if he'll come around in his opinions. Listen, we just loud and proud with everything. Okay. I think you're judging Zenoba more as a rebound of your feelings for Pax than anything else. I still don't understand what is so wrong with liking figurines that he's literally being called the worst just because of that. What does one need to do for not being considered the worst for you? At this point, you are not going to like anyone that is not a perfect, functional, morally righteous member of society. And let me tell you, you won't find any of those in Mushoku Tensei. Even the perfect characters are flawed in some way. But then again, I don't understand how being obsessed with figurines is flawed. Okay. First off, he's killing people. That's not great, right? Super strong though, not a good point. That's like a mini point, right? Disregard for human life, whatever. Kind of, a lot of people kill people in this world. Not a big take. He's not the. When I say the worst, that doesn't mean I think he's an horrible moralistic monster. Okay, it's a figure of speech. It's exaggeration, right? High energy is how it goes. He's not the best though, right? The reason that like because if you want me to morally condemn him, because this is saying that like he isn't like this is kind of saying like he's not that bad, the moral condemnation I would throw at him would be your brother is holding people hostage and is like obviously a menace, and you're in a position of power, but instead of leveraging your power for anything good, you're basically like it's like a what's it called, where like someone does something bad and you do absolutely nothing. And then you like trying to put some of the blame on the person that like a bystander, you know, where it's like someone is actively, you know, killing someone and you don't, and you're just standing there and you watch, you know, you're like watching in like a location of safety. You don't like call the police or anything. You're just like, oh, that's cool. That's kind of what I would like condemn Zenoba for, because I mean, Pax is like a million times worse, obviously, right? Because I don't even need to go into that. So, but for Zenoba to like not care at all about all the harm that's Pax doing, he only cares because it benefits him completely. So like in that way, he's very like it's selfish, right? Not a horrible trait in comparison to a lot of the other cast. But like I wouldn't call him like a good person. Like at best he's like a neutral, but neutral right next like being completely neutral right next to like a really like what I would say is an evil, which is Pax, I think brings you into the evil a little bit. So evil is a strong word, but it brings your moral my moral evaluation of you down if you're just allowing that to happen, and you just like you have no care about it. But also knowing that he ripped his wife's head off, I assume completely unintentionally, it makes me like, okay, you know, I don't blame him for kind of like not seeing people as very human. Like he even says like humans are so fragile, right? Like that's like that would make sense in a like a Superman kind of way. Not even Superman, because Superman loves people as Superman, but yeah, like I could see where he would get there. The figurine thing, I just like it being a flaw. Like no, I just like I don't understand it. And if it's just a position of power thing, you have so much power in the world, but you would like to do things and to stop horrible things from happening, but you're instead like selling like he literally says like he like sells his servants in exchange for the figurine, right? So he's doing human trading. I don't know if it's slavery or not. But with packs and like doing like kidnapping families, like maybe I assume it's not a great situation, but that's also pretty morally normal in this world, so I don't want to like hit him on that too hard. But what is the point? Him like selling people off and not really like caring about that because he's like so like single track minded on something that like is just an interest. It's just like it's just a neutral thing where he's like he's not doing any net good for the world, and in the face of a lot of like bad things. So that makes me be like, okay, well, if you're not helpful, then you're just like get out of my face kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, being obsessed with figurines is not a flaw. But choosing figurines over helping people is a flaw. But he also just kind of doesn't care about people, so it's not like it's like a thing that's like crossing his mind very much. But that is the thing that I would morally condemn him for. But even then, compared to a lot of other people, it's not great. In terms of liking him as a character, to counterpoint this, because you're saying you're not going to like anyone that's not a perfect, functional, morally righteous member of society. I mean, I like Paul, I like Rudy. Like, as characters, Rudy, Paul, neither of which are perfect, morally functional people. They're both really engaging characters. I've really come around on Paul. Eris is kicking people's heads in. She's not very morally righteous, necessarily, you know. I mean, she's pretty good, all things considered. I don't know. Who else is, like, a kind of scummy? I mean, Paul and Rudy are the best example. I would just stick with Paul and Rudy. So I would just disagree with you, right? Like, me condemning people doesn't mean that I don't like them as a character, right? Like, you can enjoy, like, a villain or enjoy somebody that has issues. The thing that makes Rudy engaging is that he has issues, and that's something that's, like, being explored and worked on, and kind of the same thing with, like, Paul or whatever. But then when you have somebody like Pax walk up who has no exploration of anything and it's just, oh, he just is the worst and it's just a gross monster, then it's like, I'm not gonna, like, that's not an engaging character. And then, like, Zenoba seems like there's no self-introspection or anything. He's just kind of like he's like a fun gimmick character is the way he seems at this point. And the figurine gimmick I don't relate to or anything. So it's just like, okay. And then it's like, and it's the thing I complained about a little bit earlier of the like contrivances, but just like, he comes in and fixes the situation because he has the figurine. It was just like, I was expecting a bigger climax to the arc, and then Zenoba comes in and fixes it in a way that's just kind of like, none of our characters got to like do anything. So I was like, okay, guess we're good now. Thanks, Zenoba. We're out of here. And now he's just kind of away. So maybe he'll come back and be important later. And I could see like, I mean, seeing him pull up and start ripping dudes' heads off would be sick, right? Like, he has potential to do really cool stuff as a blessed child, and that gives him like a cool plot importance that can be explored. So I'm down for him to come back and do stuff, but at this point, like, didn't do it for me. It is what it is. The dark clouds are gathering. That's terrifying. Zenoba, my beloved. Heard. By the way, teleportation is random. Most people appeared midair and died. Same for Rudy and Eris, but Rudyard managed to catch them while they were falling. Teleportation is random. So unlucky. If this is true, I see 8 replies, which makes me think it might not be true. I don't know what's happening here. I don't look at replies because it's too dangerous. The thing with, like, Rudyard catching them while they were falling seems, I mean, because that's different than what the other person's saying here, where Rudyard had to like go find them or whatever, and would make it like a coincidence that Rudyard just so happened to be under them. If this is true, but like, since there's a lot of replies, I'm not gonna really touch that. It being random, I could believe. In which case it's just like we got teleported to the opposite end of the continent, like the literally as far as we could get, and not, you know, which is just kind of like, okay, whatever. Yeah. So, most people appeared midair and died. If that's true, that freaking sucks. Imagine just being fall damage immediately gone. Commenting for the algorithm. Also, you're a cool guy, Dabs. So am I. You know what? I appreciate the comment. Shake the hand. Easy clap. I really don't get your strong hate for Zenova. I don't. Hate is a strong word. Listen, I was expecting this arc to do something crazy. Zenova comes in, easy claps it. Is a comedic gag that isn't my thing, and then we move on. It is what it is. He's not like a horrible, awful, scummy character. That's Pax. That's his brother. Shout out my goat, Lord Zenova, the resident goat of the verse. No, that's Eris. Guys, we are getting distracted. We are getting distracted from our main cast, which I love, and I'm so down for exploring with this random figurine guy. This is our lover. This is our guy. This is our goat of the verse. And does he come back? I don't get it. I don't get it. But maybe he'll grow on me. He can grow on me. I'm not locked into opinions. Y'all gotta calm down. It's the first episode with the guy. Calm yourselves. But okay, continuing. Aisha, I totally agree with this, and I think this is that Aisha was testing Rudy. This is interesting light novel context of like Rudy broke his legs when he was escaping from the guards, and then Aisha wet her panties. I'm not even surprised that that's in there. I mean, I guess it makes sense with the biology. She'd be scared, so sure. And then he like cleaned her up, which is why she was like, oh, he's my brother. That is interesting. Yeah, like Zenova, he'll grow on you over time. I'm ready for it. Hey, I'm ready for it. Paul is my guy, okay? Use him for an example of, like guys. You know what I'm saying? Okay, continuing. But yeah, I think this is fair. It's interesting light novel difference again. They gotta cut stuff for the anime. It is how it is. I think you're confused about how much gods do. You're ascribing too many things to them. In fact, as far as we know, man god is only speaking to Rudy, so not influencing anything else. After all, he wasn't mentioned by literally anyone so far in the story. Exactly, but then all these, I'm just trying to find it, as I've said like a handful of times during this intro, which is already at an hour and a half and we haven't hit the episode yet. That's crazy to me. But as I've said, like, I'm trying to ascribe it to them, assuming that these aren't just a bunch of coincidences, but I am starting to get the impression that a lot of these things just are lucky or unlucky for the sake of, like, plot to happen. And I don't like plot happening because of luck or unluck a lot. Like, it's good every once in a while, sure. But yeah, so I don't know. It's the thing is like because like the qualifier here, in fact, as far as we know, that's the big thing. Like, I'm assuming Man God's going to be a big part of the story going forward, right? Because like, why else would he be such an important part now? So it's the question of, okay, why is he important? What has he been doing behind the scenes? Has he been doing stuff behind the scenes? What are his motives? Who else is he? He can speak to Rudius. Is he speaking to other people? I mean, he's not being mentioned by literally anyone else so far in the story. I mean, Rudius isn't talking about him either, right? Like, who knows what's going on? And it doesn't even, like, we don't know what they do. We know nothing about him. So, like, all of these predictions on Man God are, like, I'm assuming he's going to be important, and I'm excited to see where that goes, you know? But, yeah, perhaps the theories are going too far, in which case, it is what it is. We'll probably pull back a little bit on those because a lot of people have kind of said that kind of thing. Which, you know, obviously a lot of these people have either watched the anime or read the manga. So if they're starting to say like these theories starting to go far, then it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess the theories are wrong, or at least not entirely true. We'll see where it goes. So it's safe to assume that if they are influencing people, it's incredibly rare. Blaming gods for random luck like Lily and Asha getting TP to PAX or any of all the events is just not what the story wants to convey, IMO. I think you're right, and that makes me a little sad because, as I've said, I don't like random luck being a big part of stories. But it is what it is. Aisha is for sure trolling Rudius. I agree, and I think that's super cool, and I like that a lot. Important again to know how much Rudy has grown as a person. But I'm worried that you will never be satisfied by him considering how harsh you are towards him all the time. I'm harsh to him because I believe in him, okay? He has grown a lot, and I'm so here for it. It's like the harshness comes out of belief. It comes out of hope. And is that hope wrong? Huh? I feel like, dude, I'm just being set up for him to do something horrible. People always say, like, he's gonna do something bad. That's the impression I'm getting. Realistically speaking, at this point, Rudy is unironically one of the best human beings we've seen in the show IMO, especially taking into account how OP is and what power has done to other people like nobles, etc. The thing is, like, I judge Rudy more than every other character because he came from a world that was so, like, had such a more, like, what's the word? Like, strict moral code that, like he came from like a modern world, right? So the moral code that he should have, I hold to a higher standard than the moral code of this world. Example, he doesn't like killing people because that's very morally wrong and very like unusual in the modern day, as opposed to Eris killing people nowadays. For Eris to be like willing to kill people, if she was coming from the modern world, I would find that worrying. But she's not. She's coming from this time period, so it's like, okay, like it just kind of, that's how this world works, right? And so for Rudy to be so pacifist is like, that's an example of his real world, his like previous life morality shining through, and I think that's very good and very positive, right? It's like, and so in that way, he's like he's like a higher level moral agent, you know? He's like morally transcended this level. He's on a different moral level. But in the same way, that's why I hold him to a higher moral stamp, like a higher moral bar, because if I immediately just held him to this world's bar, then yeah, he would be fine. He would be a saint. But he has an entire past life of experience that should tell him that that's not the right thing to do, you know? So I hold him to that. And I'm holding it to that because I believe in him, and I'm so ready for him to keep growing, because that's what the story's about, you know? Like, what, you want me to, like, compromise? Like, what, like, I'm ready for him to grow and become Giga hero, as, you know, as best as he can get. I want him to be his best self possible, so I want him to get there, and I'm ready for it, you know? So, like, I don't want to just compromise and be like, well, he's not as bad as Pax, right? And because I kind of said that a little bit, right? Of like Pax was kind of being used as a way to like make like Rudy look even worse. And like that's what it, like the world looks really bad, which then paints Rudy in a better picture. But I also still hold Rudy to a higher standpoint, right? Because it's kind of a message thing. It gets down to like some of the core messages of like what Mushoku Tensei's core message could be that I'd be worried about, of like, because we have this person in his past life, which is someone that I don't respect, right? Like past life Rudy, a lot of bad things happened, but I don't respect a type of person that lives their life like that, right? Is what it is. Like, I would love for them to grow. I'm here to help them as much as they can, as long as they're a thirsty horse, to use my thing I said last time. But, like, you know, he wasn't very impressive as a human being in his past life. So, I forgot my point. I forgot where I was going with that. But, like, so he comes to this new world, and... Oh, yeah. The, like, big moral message. So, it's like... Because the thing is, there's people like past life Rudius living here in this real world, right? And I'm sure, like, as an isekai, as, like, an escapism fantasy, I'm sure a lot of people, like, self-project onto past life Rudius and be like, I feel seen, and be like, this is me, you know? And so, in that way, I want to be as harsh on Rudius as I would be on those people and be like, you can be great. You can be great. You can have a good moral impact on the world. You can help people. You can have healthy relationships, and it can be wonderful. And that's wonderful, and I'm so here for it, as, you know, just get that drive, get that passion, and, like, we'll work through it, right? So, trying to, like, compromise and trying to say, like, you'll never be satisfied to him, like, if I were to, like, compromise and, like, meet him halfway and say, like, well, the world's horrible, this escapism world that he went into is horrible, I guess he can be kind of gross and it'll be fine. I feel like that's saying to the people that project onto Rudy and feel seen in Rudy, I feel like it's saying to those people, it's not even that bad. Like compared to like what you could be a lot worse. And I don't like that compromising attitude. I'm a lot more like uncompromising, unrelenting, be the best you can be. Like that's much more kind of my approach. So in that way, like I might never be satisfied with him, but that's not a bad thing. I'm fine with being harsh on him because I believe in the guy and he can do it, you know? And that's just part of me investing in his freaking character, man. I don't know what redundancy readers means. But I feel like I'm being judged by the look of these emojis here. But like, who's redundant here? I don't know. But yeah, like being one of the best human beings in the show, like I hold him to a different standard than all the human beings in the show, largely because he works as like a self-insert type character for real people in the real world that come from like what should be a higher moral thing. Because they're like, yeah, if I compare myself to the rest of the human beings in the world, right, into like Pax to Paul to whatever, then I'm a saint. Like I'm clean. But that doesn't mean that I should just be like happy and content. Like I'm ready to, you know, keep trying to be the best me. And I would push that onto Rudy, and I'd push that onto the people that self-project onto Rudy, because you got the potential, you know? And I'm saying you to Rudy, I'm saying you to anyone that's like that. Like, you can do it, you know? Yeah. That's just where I'm at. and I see that as an investment. I feel like that's my way of investing into the show, and I'm enjoying investing in that kind of way, and like really rooting for him, as opposed to just being like, he'll be fine, like I feel like if you just kind of settled, then like that, this is like the core of the show, right? Him changing, him growing, and like all of that. I feel like that's such a core message of the show. So I'm trying to like invest into it as much as I can, right? That's where I'm coming from there. So yeah, and yeah, a lot of the Zenova thing. I mean, we're coming right out of the PAX episode, so the emotions were high. Yeah, but like yeah. So basically, we're gonna be fine. People are ready to okay. Listen, we're just investing the show. Good energy. Bong, 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 bong. So exciting. But yeah, it is what it is. I feel like that was a good little summary there. Of my stance on these episodes. Wow, that was a good run. Let's take a sip. We're gonna jump into the recap for episode 20. This is Aisha popping off. Boom, or I don't know, something. It's probably already out. Ooh, we are just going a mile a minute for a long period there. Okay, freaking Zenoba. And like I appreciate the decapitation, the Decapitator Prince, bro. Like that's a scary title. Look at this little malicious grin. Wait, does he? Okay. This is a big question. Does he enjoy ripping his brother's head off? Look at this smile smirk, man. He a little crazy with it. Is he a little bloodthirsty? He likes the power a little bit. I mean, he could be a lot worse. A lot of these people could be a lot worse. Like, I get it. But like, good moral agent. What about these random civilians? Like, they're fine. They're literally just oppressed, But when it comes to power, like, power corrupts kind of mentality. So I guess it's different. But like, what, you know what I mean? So when it comes to like, if we're talking about the Zenoba moral agent thing, I mean, he's smirking as he's ripping his brother's head off like Loki. No, I don't even know if he would. He probably wouldn't. But yeah. And he breaks his arm. Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, this entire figurine bit at the beginning, man, I was ready for Rudy to like make moves, And so for this just entire, like, it's like, oh, that's handy. And then he freaking starts rolling around, and they're like gawking over like a figurine of nude Roxy. It's like, guys, we're trapped in a cell, and Lilia is tied up upstairs, bro. She's literally tied up upstairs. And I know that like this is the best move Rudy can do. So this isn't even a Rudy fault. Like, Rudy's playing this well, all things considered. Like, speak your truth, Rudy. I'm saying Rudy's been on and up, man. Grievances against Rudy. I got grievances against everybody. Okay, but yeah, it's like, dude, just like, there's like, I don't know, it's just like, what are you doing with your life? It's not my thing. I like, speak your truth, Zenoba. It's, I'm not gonna like beat you over a bush for like, but like, this is it's a little crazy. You gotta at least compromise with me here. It's a little crazy because it's the person that was the mentor. Like, he knew Roxy, so for him to be like infatuated with like a erotic lewd statuette of Roxy is kind of like, okay, that's a bit crazy to me. But again, nobles will noble, and it could be many times worse, especially for a blessed child like him. But like, he's just pogging so hard, and that's just, I'm ready for like, dude, this show, I don't know why, this show gets my blood like on fire. And I like it a lot in that way, where it's like, it gets me, because the stakes are kind of high in that, like, not in that like people die, because I mean Saros got decapitated, but I don't know, yeah, it's just Saros. Saros, rest in peace, Saros. It was almost like, but like in terms of the stakes being high, in terms of like, we're dealing with some crazy themes here, right? So that gets me like, boom, like energized. So when I'm like energized and ready, and then even Rudy's judging him, bro. Look at this. Even Rudy's saying that, well, I don't know if this is a judgment. I mean, I don't... Zenova, calm down. If Rudy's hitting you with this look, Rudy, out of everyone, is hitting you with this look, then that says a lot. Like, if Zenoba's function is to get me and Rudy on the same wavelength, then I kind of appreciate that. If, I can appreciate that move. But yeah, it's just he's frothing at the mouth and losing it over a lewd statuette of Roxy, and I want Roxy to be respected as a yeah. It's just yeah. I'm yeah okay. If he comes back and starts ripping heads off, I mean I'll be cheering for him. That's the best I can give y'all. I'm right. That's the thing, dude. I loud and proud doesn't mean locked in. Like I'm like the only thing I'm like locked in on is that Eris is the GOAT till the end of time. You know, she would have to. Her character would have to be like character assassination for me to not love her. But like even Aisha, bro, I was getting bro. My energy was at the point that Aisha was getting caught in crossfire with the Pax energy. I won't even pretend. But like Aisha, like you know, for her to be like doing this million IQ like testing of Rudy, I can respect the move. I gotta respect the Aisha move. So even Aisha, bing, 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 like up 3 spots on the tier list. It's that fast, okay? We move quick. It's a freaking crazy boat. Can we just watch the episode? I'm done. I'm watching episode 21. I have been sitting here screaming at myself in my room for like the better half of almost 2 hours, okay? I deserve to watch an episode. And the thing is, I'm gonna watch like 7 episodes, you know? Like now I gotta binge to get caught up, so I'm probably gonna do another one, which means I'm not even halfway. Okay. The energy's been a lot. It's crazy. This show gets me energized like nothing else, and I respect that. I like when a show can get me energized. Not like nothing else. There's a few things that get me energized. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. But the show I feel like has brought like it gets me riled up, which I really like that. I do really like that. I hope it doesn't betray me and get me riled up and get me up like mad, because I don't think it will. I think it could, but it would have to. Oh, and y'all are like, oh no, he's gonna lose it. Y'all are literally putting your seatbelts on when I'm saying that. Guys, it'll be fine. Nothing that bad's gonna happen. And you're thinking, oh, it's gonna get worse. I'm ready for it. Y'all have literally been like, we'll be fine, guys. Hey, strap in. Episode 22. 21, I mean. Episode 21. Lock in. Episode 21. Should be excited. Let's get this going. In a 3, a 2. Wait, where are we? I gotta remember. We're just leaving Chiron. We're going like, I think Chiron was the name of it, right? We're just going, I think we're just back on the road again. Okay. Yeah, I think we're good. Ginger York, love it. Okay. Episode 21. Let's get this going. In a 3, a 2, a 1. Bang. Whoa. Ruby Jurt. Oh. Okay. Oh, dude, it's the guy. It's like North God or something, bro. No, we gotta. Let me just shut up. Your father? No. We've seen that. Yeah. It's one of the top 7. It was foreshadowing. It's one of the top 7. Excuse me? If they kill Eris, I'm gonna lose my mind. Dude, they're gonna kill characters. Wait, which one is it? Was that Kalman? Because it's got to be one of the 7 strongest, because we talked about that previously, and we made like, Rudy has said, I sure hope we don't fight one of those guys. Obviously, it's one of those guys, but which one and why? Whoa, the lyrics are crazy right now. I gotta breathe. This episode's gonna be heavy. I gotta breathe for it. Because this is gonna be a pain episode. We're gonna see people get hurt. Oh, Eris. What is that? Man, to beat Ruby Jerd plus Rudius plus Eris is actually an insane feat. Because I'd put Ruby Jerd in like top 20 or something crazy, right? And then with Rudy as like backup, he's got enough magic to be a problem. Man, okay. They're doing that annoyed thing where we know something bad's gonna happen this entire episode, you know? So it's like, how am I supposed to like enjoy this fun sword fight when something horrible is gonna happen? Bro, she's got like anti-gravity. I love Eris. Oh, caught. Why would we get jumped by one of the 7, man? Why would we get jumped? What are you putting deodorant on? Wow. Aww. Wait, they're gonna kill Ruijerd. No, Ruijerd's so dead. They're not gonna kill Eris. That'd be insane to do. They're gonna kill Ruijerd. There's no way Ruijerd makes this. What did you pinch her, bro? Okay. Okay. Ow. Ow, I feel like that would hurt so bad. Ruijerd is so dead. They're killing Ruijerd this episode. I don't know who that guy is, but he's killing Ruijerd. I don't know how Eris and Rudy is gonna make it out. Oh, please, no. Whoa, this temperature is so bad. I did not expect it to get this treacherous in where we were. Aaron. A dragon! Oh, we're in the Dragon King Mountains, right? We're probably in the Dragon King Mountains, because there's dragons. That would make sense. Bro, you're gonna fall off the cliff. Careful. It's gotta be the Dragon King. Or Dragon God or something. He's not top 7, though. I don't know. The lesser of the 7 great powers would be forced to turn back. Y'all, you're summoning him. I don't know who it is, but you're summoning him. Wow, big power difference between the stronger and the weaker of the 7. Oh, Dragon is number 2. I read my list wrong. Okay, no, it could be Dragon God. What, is that him? Rudy, eyes forward. What is going on? Oh my goodness, my heart. Oh my goodness, my heart. It's the dragon one. He literally summoned him by saying his name. Get ready to block. Like, you're gonna get attacked right now. Whoa. Who is that woman? Oh, you're terrifying. Wait. Okay. Hello? Oh, you stupid bull. It would rather kill itself than be in the presence. That's insane. Oh, yikes. Okay. Ruijerd's getting assassinated here. He can't even read him. He can't even read him. He recognizes Eris. Is he the guy from the castle up in the air? Is that this guy again? I'd have to go look at him again. We only got a glimpse. Ah! Richard literally told you not to move a muscle. Orsted? Do I put you next to Dragon God or not? Okay. Yet? Is there some future vision going on? I don't know. You are so open with information, my guy. Oh, he figured out that you're a reincarnation, baby. No, you no. This is so bad. He's gonna figure out that he's a reincarnated child, bro. You're dead. He's attacking. No? Is that like a disgrace to him that like he didn't know? Oh no! No! Why would you say that? Did Eris just pull him out of the way? Eris, thank you! Dude, okay, Rudy just got Ruijerd killed. That's insane to me. What? He's literally doing this unarmed. That's just mean. That's just rude. Rudius, get out of here, man. There wasn't even time. There wasn't even time. Rudy, I can't believe you. Ruijerd warned you so hard. I can't believe you, Rudy. He's just gonna kill you. Apparently, Dragon God really doesn't like Man God. Eris is literally the bravest person I've ever met. Okay. She's been incapacitated. I always thought you had potential. It's crazy. Okay, Rudy. Talk time, talk time. Dragon God Orsted. It's crazy. Man God literally talked about Dragon God. Whoa, whoa. She's trying to cast a spell. Oh, Eris. Good shot, good shot. I know it didn't do anything, but... Wow! Wait, it did something. Whoa, what did you just do? What is he casting? He's got Dispel Magic, that's crazy. No, that's... I respect this, Rudy. This is good. Okay, that's terrifying. That's the scariest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Man, the rock propping him up. Ooh! Wormgate. It's a sick name. Wow. That's a crazy thing to say. It's Rudy can't do incantationless with healing. That's what I was talking about. That incantation. That's what I was saying. He can't do that. I was talking about that earlier. How bad that would be for any wizard. Okay, Man God. Man God needs to clutch, I guess. This is literally so awful. Nanahoshi. Ruijerd is still out, bro. Hey? Yes, who? Yes, save us. Who? I don't know who she is, but she's at a clutch. Man, God, you got so much explaining to do. Wow, the hole in his chest. Wow, saying your name got me killed. That's crazy. Why is he in this plane? You know, while Dragon God's just walking around? Like, it's so weird. Thank you. Good question. Thank you, Rudy. It's a good question. Man, God, horrible answer. Not at all helpful. Poor Eris. Can you not predict him? Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. He's way too... Yeah. I actually believe Man God there. The curse? Oh, the opposite of blessed children? Wild. Whoa. Yeah, Rudy, you threw that so much. You were immune to it, though. Maybe he was immune to the curse. Yeah. Yeah. They have an entire like race wide. Wow. Yeah. Okay. He has a race wide curse. Have you been like unraveling it, or maybe it's just faded? Since he shaved his head. So it's more like a perspective thing. Like he distanced himself and yeah. I think I'm gonna throw up, bro. I feel sick. No, you did good, Rudy. You did great. I mean, I know you're not. I mean, you're gonna. I don't know how you're gonna get saved, but that girl is gonna save you or something. Yeah, that was insane. Who's number one? Technique God? We gotta meet Technique God at some point. He's crazy. What about Technique God? I guess they maybe just haven't fought. Gotcha. Okay. Hmm. That's good. Man, God, you little rat. Good question. Thank you, Rudy. Some insight. I like it. I mean, that's true. Just the opposite. Man God's about to drop some crazy information. I mean, you know, or something. Yeah, there it is. Poor Eris. I think the girl healed him, right? The girl realized something. Hi, Eris. I'm so glad you feel better, Eris. Or I'm so... Wow, dude. He had a hole in his back. He had an exit wound. Is Ruijerd okay? Okay, wow. Wow. Nanahoshi. I don't know what a Nanahoshi is. Okay, we're all fine. You know, just casually walking into the strongest person in the continent and then dying. Oh no. Please. Please, Rudy, it's not now. She was so worried. Aww. Okay, everything's fine, I guess. Well, that was incredibly stressful. That's the most that's the most stressful thing that's happened to me in a while. Shiahona. So this is kind of what I mean, man. The gods are so scared. If like saying Man God's name caused this guy to go kill mode, you know? What is up with Man God? What is up with the Dragon God? I mean, and Rudy had a moment of like empathy with Dragon God too. You know, where Man God was like, everyone hates Dragon God, and then Rudy was like, well, that must suck, you know? I mean, that's him empathizing with Dragon God, right? So that makes me very curious. Wow. Wow, whew, I feel sick. I actually feel sick. I get like nauseous when I'm stressed. Yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot there. Um, Rudy has got to learn some situational awareness. I mean, if Ruijerd is telling you not to move a muscle, you don't move a muscle, man. Like, you trust him there. You trust him. Dreams in, what, reality or something? Oh, man. So, this is different. I, for a moment, was thinking this guy might have been the Dragon Emperor dude, Perugius, Armored Dragon King. For a split moment, I was like, is this Perugius? But no. This is Dragon God Orsted. Literally just strongest guy. I mean, he's in the dragon range, so like I could see why he's here. You know, we walked into these. Apparently, these traveling sucks. Traveling is so much harder. This world's traveling is so hard to do. You get hoed. It's so many places. I mean, even if this guy didn't show up, this place had dragons everywhere, and was this horrible iced passage that Ruijerd is like, yeah, we can't fight a red dragon. I mean, I do get why Rudy was like moving, because like he wasn't impacted by the curse. It's interesting, like having, it seems like a heavy prejudice or like racism or something is like part of the curse, you know? Because like I'm assuming that Mengod was not lying when he said that Ruijerd shaving his head like from being green like distanced him from the place, which weakened the curse that was like transmitted. So like how you look and how you're perceived is part of like a curse's function. So like Rudy, who's coming from another world, has like such vastly different perceptions that like you know bounces off of him. So like I get why he wasn't moving in that regard, but like the rest of your party is frozen still, telling you not to move, and you talk yourself into getting killed. Like Rudy, like that was so dumb. That was so stupid, and I'm sorry, Rudy. That was so dumb. I'm just. If Ruijerd died because of that, I would be so upset. I mean, I don't think like that would be painful. That would just be a painful one. But like your party's telling you not to move, and you start moving, and you start throwing questions out, and then you haven't told anyone about Man God up to this point because you thought you would come across as weird, right? And then to this omega powerful guy that's causing Ruijerd to get scared, you just spill it as soon as someone else talks about it. I loved how they played with the demon eye, though. Like, that was so sick. Of just, like, he would see himself like, oh, wait, I have no idea what's happening. It's a blur, and it's coming at me, and it's going to kill me. You know? Because, like, how are you even supposed to tell how to deal with that? Like, they could have just... They could have just kept walking if you didn't talk to him, man. But it's fine, because Man God was... I mean, Man God didn't even revive you. It was the girl. So, whatever she was doing was sick. Man... Rudy's strong too. That's a crazy thing. Like he has such incredible magical potential, especially with the incantation list. But you know, obviously he can't speak, so he can't use like half of his magic, the healing. But like the shot with that looked so sick, and then the fireball was insane. Saying he's on par with Laplace is just insane. As a kid or with potential. I mean, seeing that he cracked your like worm gate. I mean, probably a little bit of both, but. And then him talking about making good with the promise on Eris to like, I assume he's talking about the once you're 15-year-old thing. Whatever, you're dying. That's fine. I accept that. It makes sense, you know. We take those. The Cursed Children info is cool. Man, it's crazy. Like, as bad as this was, in the grand scheme of things, this was good because we got information. But like, obviously we shouldn't have Rudy should not have let this happen, but running into this guy tells us a lot. I mean, there's a feud between Dragon God and Man God. Man God before said that Man God's literally lying, bro, or something. I don't think Man God was being straight at all when he said, because he told Rudy, like, Rudy was like, why was I reincarnated, right? And didn't he say, like, I don't know, Dragon God does some reincarnation juju? Didn't he, like, I think he brought up Dragon God, like, in that conversation. I mean, God, there's no way you actually think that, right? That Dragon God would have revived Rudy, or maybe you do think that, and that's why you were like talking to Rudy, because like there's some sort of feud there, and so you're like trying to, you thought this was like Dragon God's toy, so you're like, ooh, let me get some of my, let me get my hands in that playpen. Um. Oh man, Rudy thinks he can talk his way out of so much more than he can. Um. Ruijerd and Eris being the realest ones per usual. I mean, they are fighting. They are. Ruijerd knows for sure that he will lose against this guy, and he will die. Like if this guy wants him dead, he's dead, right? Ruijerd knows this. He knows the power difference. Like walking into this, he knew the power difference. Because he was talking about like the higher levels could kill like a bunch of dragons, and this is literally the strongest one. So he knows, and then Eris just watched Ruijerd, who she's never landed a hit on. Well, a real hit, gets destroyed by him in like 5 seconds, but both of them still jump in to save Rudy. I mean, that's just real. That's just so real. And I don't blame Rudy for not running. There's no time. You don't have that. Seeing Ruijerd get rolled, yeah, I'm not moving either. Like I'm too scared. It's crazy. Dragon God, man. There's like some sort of like prediction. Like his future, his present and future can't be read, but he is reading presents and futures everywhere. I mean, him saying like, I feel like he is, right? He just has a lot of information of Ruijerd, of Eris, of Paul's two daughters, which means like I think what that means is that in the past he had a future read, right? Where he hasn't looked at the Paul family, but in the past he like saw that the Paul family was going to have 2 daughters, But then when Rudy came in as a isekai, that like was something that couldn't be read, right? You can't predict that. Maybe like Rudy in a way is a cursed child as well, and can he be predicted? I don't think so. I don't think maybe he can't be predicted. Just because he was a blank spot in I think Dragon God's prediction. Like predicted in like a magical way, The fight was sick. I mean, I love the desperation is just, Eris like desperately trying to do a fireball and just not getting anything. And then vomiting blood. Poor girl. Rudy was making great moves though. Like the little puffs of air, like him throwing up the disturb, like his magic getting disturbed, him doing a second one to like get him out of the way. This insane fireball of just like, the guy's giving me time to make a move. I will charge up the most powerful thing I can imagine. I mean, that was all good. I respect, like, after the point of the fight starting, I feel like Rudy was making totally good moves. It's just he made the fight start because he was stupid, which sucks. Like, this guy's the scariest guy I've ever met. It's not even about like sure, you don't want to, like, if someone in like another context, if someone is like, hey, have you heard of Man God? Then him saying yes, I wouldn't say is that bad. I mean, I have been very suspicious of Man God this entire time, so I would probably advocate no, don't say anything to anyone until you have more information. But all things considered, totally fine play to be like, yeah, I've heard of Man God. I've been talking to Man God. But to say that to somebody that Ruijerd and Eris are terrified, stiff from, and Ruijerd saying don't move, that is a huge misplay. That is like, you are not listening to Ruijerd. You're just lone wolfing this. You think you got the moves or something. I don't know if this is ego, or I don't know what this is, or if it's just being dumb or like naive or whatever. But like, listen to Ruijerd. Listen to your party, And him making all these crazy like, he knows you, man. But like, what, are you gonna lie to him? Like, yeah, you're not gonna be able to lie to him either. Him looking at you, like, dude, this, you can't lie to him either. It's just a lose-lose. That's why you shouldn't have said anything. Or like, I mean, maybe you could have framed it in another way that he wouldn't have attacked you. Of like, yeah, who is that? Like, I've had connection to him, but I have no idea who it is. It's just reading the room. Rudy's always been so bad at reading the room. It makes sense somewhat given his like upbringing, like past life, But I mean, at this point, he's had another like what 15 years or like 13 years of experience. So like it's not a great excuse. It's just this guy, man. Poor guy's making all these good moves like developmentally, like with you know like the perverted stuff's been very minor recently, which I really appreciate. But then he just makes a massive misplay and gets himself like almost killed. I mean, gets himself killed and then revived. So it's just like, damn, Rudy, okay, another front. We can, hey, Rudy, you're gonna be a great adventurer one day. Also, it's crazy. Like he gets stabbed through the chest. In my head, I'm going, I'm pretty sure there's a season 2 airing right now. I know he doesn't die. That's just a kind of a sad reality of, you know, knowing. But because like, you know, yeah. But I thought Ruijerd could have died there for sure. I really thought they were gonna kill Ruijerd. All their supplies got lost too. That sucks. But yeah, I mean, just at the beginning with, I mean, the beginning shot of everyone's hurt, like really hurt. And then what was Eris doing here? Was she just using like a cloth? Oh, she's just using a cloth, I think, because she's sweating. Okay, I think she's just wiping sweat off of her. Okay. I know it's random, but I'm just confused, and I was like, what are you doing? Yeah. And, like, I guess it's kind of fair to ask about the Mana Cataclysm, but, dude... It's just insane. I don't know. So... They're gone? Why did they leave? Why would they revive and leave? Revive and stay is one thing. Revive and leave, I don't get. This show's gonna stress me out so much. And I'm still at the point that they haven't. They hurt, they wound, but they haven't done a big kill yet. But I think they might at some point. Like that's one thing I like about stakes being established. Of like they're willing to hurt people. That I enjoy because in it, you know, stakes, but I you know, I haven't ever killed someone yet, so I don't know. That's not even much of a point. That's more of like a fear that they might. Like Ruijerd. What else do I even have to say, dude? Dragon God, of course he's got it in for a paragon of virtue like me. I mean, I'm not gonna trust a single word you say, like at face value, you know. Like, you're not in the top 7 strongest. You're in this weird, like, ephemeral, like, other place, you know? I wouldn't be surprised if you've, in the same way Laplace has been sealed away. I wouldn't be surprised if Man God's been sealed away, and that's why he, like, only appears in this, like, dream space. Yeah, I mean, it's just an example of, like, kind of the worries that I've been trying to talk about of, like, I'm worried that Man God's pulling strings and making things happen. We just had a character walk in who knew who Paul was, and knew he had 2 daughters, and is the strongest guy on the planet. Well, like, potentially, right? Like, I don't know how, like, Laplace, if unsealed, would square up, but, like, he's pretty much the strongest one, right? Like, roughly. So, for him to, like, know Paul and know that information, it's like, I don't know if he just knows all of information, like, a ton of information, or if that, like, that's kind of the worry of, like, maybe some things just aren't as they seem. I'm just worried that there's so many things going on behind the scenes with the gods, right? And I don't know the shape they take, and that just scares me. And this is why I've been scared, okay? Because Dragon God comes in, no diffs freaking Ruijerd, even negative diff, if you want to use the fun terminology, just comes in, completely ices everyone. The only thing that possibly was, like, could have got him was, like, Ruijerd holding the line for a second and somehow is enough of a threat that Rudy can get a shot off that the guy can't fully block. But I don't even think that would happen, you know? Like, he's straight up unparalleled. So, that's good. The hole in the chest, is that an example of Rudy's self-perception? Because the hole in the chest only went away when Man God said that he was still alive, right? So I'm curious if that's Man God making him appear that way, or if that's Rudy appearing that way through his self-perception. Because that has interesting implications. Yeah, because he says you're not dead, and he looks down, and then it's healed. So is that Man God saying like, oh look, you're stitched up? Or is that like the real time of his body just got healed? Or is that him realizing he's not dead and then that causes him to like not perceive a hole in his own chest anymore, you know? Yeah. Oh yeah, this girl's name. I'm gonna write her next to Dragon God. Nanahoshi. I mean, I could see her being like another one of the gods. I could see her being like sword god, like a lower level god. I could see her, I don't know. I could see her just being an apprentice of Dragon God. I don't know. She was important. I mean, she's part of the grander schemes. She's part of the grander reincarnation schemes, right? Which is the most important thing. The most important thing. Rudy's been reincarnated. This guy didn't know about it, and then his connection to Man God, which is from him, I assume him being reincarnated, like that's kind of why Man God took interest, is what got him axed. So these are issues, you know. And now Rudy has been brought to brutal reality of yes, this is a problem. And so at least now me and Rudy are on like a more similar page, you know. Frick. Yeah, okay, well that was brutal. Glad no one died. Seeing Eris crawling at Rudy, I'm just thinking like, this poor girl. I mean, I think she'll somewhat bounce back. I mean, she has such a strong spirit, you know. Because he's not actually dead. I think she'll be fine, but, and like Rugert's fine too. But that doesn't mean that doesn't suck. Him just watching her and saying like, okay, I'll meet Eris another time. Let me like read my future real quick. Oh yeah, that's another 7 years. Okay. And she calls for Ghislaine. This is brutal. Okay, well. Whoo! Crazy. I walked into this with such happy energy. I was like impassioned, ready for like a, you know, exciting episode, and then they just like destroy our cast. I mean, I was down with it. It was a fire episode. That's not an insult. That's just a like, wow. The energy just got, yeah. I feel like I got slapped, you know? But yeah, I think that's all I really got for the Cursed Children is fascinating. I love that. That's super interesting. The curses like make him stronger, maybe, you know? Like being feared. No, but they also hold him back. The fear could be useful though. I mean, it's called a curse, right? But yeah. Even if they can be used in a useful way, like that doesn't mean they will be. Turning Point 2, y'all are hilarious. Heaven chose you for its gifts, the infant who sets the forest ablaze. Okay, so it's the same text from earlier for the OP. But yeah, that's all I got for this episode. Episode 21 of Mushoku Tensei, a Jobless Reincarnation. On to the next episode 22. Of course, if you like the video, subscribe if you're new, blah, blah, blah. Comment down below if you have anything to say, or join the Discord and talk to me or other Mushoku Tensei fans there. But until then, until next episode, that's all for tonight. Notification bell as well. All those things really does help the numbies, and the numbies help me put these out. You already know how it goes. But yeah, until the next episode, episode 22, that's all I got for tonight. I'll be seeing you then. Peace.